guys, I'm Marticore, and usually I try to do something special for the spooky time. So here it is, all about ghosts, zombies, and resurrection in The Sims 2. I won't be getting too much into the types of deaths and colors because Only Abidong already made a great presentation of them that I will link down below. But I will refer to death types for other purposes, so be sure to check out Abby's video. Since aging is even there in The Sims, which starts with The Sims 2, the most inevitable type of death that can occur in the game when you're an active player letting your Sims age is dying of old age. But of course it's The Sims, so not only old age is a death opportunity. Sims can die of hunger, drowning, electrocution, fire, sickness, fright, flies, satellite, cowplant, rally forth, Murphy bed, lightning, hail, wishing well, and also sunlight if they're vampires. Other occults can't die of anything specific for them, like plant Sims can't die due to lack of water or sun, they will just pass out. Same for human Sims overheating or freezing, they can only die in those states if their hunger need goes all the way down. If a Sim dies untimely, so not of old age, other Sims can interact with the Grim Reaper to plead for loved one. It will always be a success, I think. I am not exactly sure, but from my experience it's always a success if the relationship to the dying Sim is high enough. So the safest choice would be a best friend or a lover of that Sim. It's important to point out that graves come with a special sound. If you set the camera really close to a single grave, you can hear dark ambient, the sound of crows and owls, maybe a wolf, maybe a bell sometimes, just spooky things. It becomes more audible the more graves there are on the lot, and those sounds only play at night. Ghosts don't come out immediately. If you keep the graves on your home lot at least 24 hours after the Sim's dying, ghosts will start coming out to haunt the house. From what I've seen, it seems like the game needs 48 hours actually, but it's hard to say since a particular ghost doesn't have to come out every night. But if there are a lot of graves on the lot, such as in Olive Specter's garden, you can expect nightly hauntings. Ghosts come out when it's dark, so between 7 PM and 7 AM. It looks like there's a limit to how many ghosts can appear at a time. I've never seen more than 3 on a residential lot. It's kind of like when it's 7 PM, the game immediately checks for which ghosts will appear that night. And only those max 3 ghosts float around until 7 AM. The haunting appears in interacting with home objects, making them float, making the toddler xylophone play on its own. You know, spooky stuff. I also saw that they can even make the teddy bear head spin. I've never experienced that in my game, but there is a screenshot. Ghosts can float through walls and objects, but they prefer to use doors or gates, and they even open them. And they sometimes have a very weird face expression that makes them even spookier. They can scare living Sims, sometimes resulting in death of fright if the Sim's needs are low enough. I haven't noticed any relationship between liking or disliking a Sim when alive and haunting that Sim. It doesn't seem like the ghost will haunt their enemy more often than any other Sim. And ghosts apparently aren't entirely immune to temperature, as they have to change into outerwear when it gets cold. Thank you, Seasons expansion pack. So yeah, ghosts have different colors depending on death type, but also some death types come with other characteristics. Sickness, electrocution, and hail ghosts will repeat their death animation regularly. Drowned ghosts will leave puddles of water behind them and make a mess. Rally forth ghosts have a loudspeaker in their hand. And hunger ghosts really like to go into the fridge. Ghosts can also get angry. Let's talk about that. So, Sims get attached to objects that they use a lot. When you look closely at their hunting route, you'll see it's actually repetitive. If they are still in the house that includes objects that they used a lot when alive, they will keep floating close to those objects. If you delete things that are not their bed, such as instruments or an easel, or maybe a couch that they sat on often, they will change their route and might, for example, go outside more than inside the house. But Sims, and especially ghosts, have a very special relationship with beds in particular. If you haven't yet deleted the bed that they slept in, they will immediately get close to it and cheer at it that it's still there. If you do delete or replace their bed, they will become angry and complain about it missing. Ghosts can also be mad about new Sims living in their old house. Since graves always stay after moving out a family, there might be another family starting to live in the house where the ghost just stayed. So if there are Sims that the ghost never knew, they will get the family aspiration bubble in red, even if their aspiration wasn't family, and show bubbles of random current family members, often crossed out like they don't want them there. I checked some pre-made ghosts in that matter, and it looks like Darlene Dreamer, technically from the game's perspective, never knew Dirk or Darren, her husband and son. You might have noticed when playing the Dreamer household that she constantly complains about Dirk and acts very upset. After I sent Dirk to college, she started complaining about Darren the same way. For the sake of this video, I also brought back the ghost of Skip Broke, and not only Dustin, but also Angela appears in his bubble for some reason. Apparently, he doesn't like his son's girlfriend. Don't worry, Skip, no one does. Sims can get wants about ghosts. Knowledge Sims are total nerds and curious about everything and anything, so they will always be happy to have seen a ghost and may have a want to see one. Sims with any other aspiration may get a fear of seeing a ghost, and the memory of seeing one will always be negative. Regardless of aspiration, if a Sim gets furious or becomes enemies with another Sim, they can get a want of seeing the ghost of that Sim, which basically means that they want them dead. Happens a lot with burglars. I love this game. Pets can only die of old age. They are fireproof, can't even get into a pool, and if they're really hungry, they will be taken away. Definitely pet ghosts should have been included in my spooky bugs and features video from 3 years ago because man, they are probably the creepiest thing in the entire game. Sims are apparently built differently without actual eyeballs, but pets do have 3D eyeballs and you can see them perfectly when they're ghosts because they're transparent. And also their jaw and tongue, absolutely terrifying. It's kind of like an X-ray vision of what's inside. But sim ghosts and pet ghosts can interact with each other in the afterlife. Sometimes you can see them playing fetch, for example. Super sweet. Oh, here it's important to note that living Sims cannot interact with ghosts in any way. They can only react to them being scared, like jumping, when seeing them haunting certain objects, or they can be scared by a ghost, but they can't talk to ghosts or anything like that. Babies and toddlers cannot die without hacks, but I need to repeat myself and talk about child ghosts again. Kids can die of drowning and fire, probably something else too, and their ghosts are super glitchy. They are just kind of incomplete, I would say, like the devs probably didn't think that we would actually children. So the ghosts don't have the floating animation, they just teleport from one place to another, and most importantly, they spawn hidden NPCs into your home lot. The game treats them as children living in the default bin, where you can also find the Grim Reaper, Mrs. Crumplebottom, the Witch Doctor, the Penguin, and other similar NPCs. And all the deceased Sims, of course, as well. Not only the kids. And the game doesn't like kids being outside their home lots at night, and that's when ghosts appear. So an NPC like that will just come and try to pick up the ghost kid. They never take them home, so the result is that the NPCs just hang out on the lot when the ghosts already went away, and the NPC just stays there forever. I guess you can just type in move objects and sell them. It's also nothing really dangerous, but it's just annoying. And just a quirky thing perfect to talk about in a video like this. So how can you get rid of ghosts from your home lot? Since the nightlife patch, we have the ability to just click on the tombstone and use the move grave interaction to place it on a community lot. You can build a special cemetery for your deceased Sims and move all the graves there. Although this is also a little bit glitchy because this changes the death type of every Sim into old age. So if you have ghosts with those specific characteristics like puddles and stuff like that, they will all just disappear and become just basic white ghosts. There's a mod that fixes that though. Also note that graves can sometimes disappear. I noticed that it happens every time I put backed up saves back into my game. But it also happens in just random moments, you never know. After a tombstone is deleted, either randomly by the game or being sold by the player, because that's possible too, the Sim gets unlinked, which is the same as deleting the Sim with the trash bin in the family panel. It's nothing bad really, as we know from April Black's video on corruption, but it means you can't resurrect the Sim because their 3D data has been deleted. They have no body anymore, so they can't physically appear in the game. Only the information such as family relations, memories, thumbnails stayed. So if you want to always be able to resurrect everyone just in case, get that no one link on delete mod. So while we're at resurrection, yes, in the University expansion, you can resurrect Sims. The vanilla way, you need to be on level 5 of the paranormal career, which also requires a college degree to even be available for your Sim. It's kinda a lot of work. It's kind of a challenge, I would say, and that's probably good. But a less vanilla way is the unlock career rewards cheat. Either way, you get the Resurrect Onometron as a career reward. It's a phone to the Grim Reaper, so resurrection is just one phone call away, and some cash. And your Sim must know the deceased Sim to be able to resurrect them. Have that in mind. There are different results of resurrection depending on how much money you give Grimmy. And here the Sims wiki numbers aren't exactly accurate, although the differences are very little, it's like 1 simoleon, so it's probably an honest mistake. I use the family funds cheat to check the precise amounts, since you can't really choose any amount, especially when your family has a lot of money, unless it's all the money they have, because the slider is just like, well, not very precise. 987 is the point where the Grim Reaper is willing to even try to resurrect a Sim. Anything below is too little, but he will still take the money. Between 987 and 4127, you get a zombie. And then up to 8511, you get a so-called problem Sim. A human Sim, but with a changed personality and lost skill points. The Sims Wiki also says a changed job, but I've resurrected one Sim many times with many different amounts, and that never happened. Always the same job and level, so tell me if it happened to you. It also says the result is worse the less money you give, but from what I've tested, the result is always the same. Actually, the personality change is always the same because it's just the exact opposite of what that Sim had before. If they used to have 2 points of need, now they have 8, and so on. And it's based on the personality they actually had, not the genetic value. I checked that with the easiest subject, nervous subject. Anything from 8512 and up will be perfect resurrection, exactly what the Sim was like before they died. Except this one little detail that their age progression will reset. They will be at the very beginning of their life stage. The max amount you can give is 10,000, but it's the same resurrection as at almost 1500 less, so it's not really worth it. When revived as a zombie, the Sim's personality will change to 04210, always the same way, and lose a lot of their skill points, if not all of them. Their relationship with the Sim that resurrected them will be negatively affected, the opposite of what perfect resurrection does. In apartment life, an evil witch can also revive a dead Sim as a zombie with an evil spell. In the free time expansion, if you get the genie lamp, which isn't really that rare, you can resurrect Sims with a wish. It comes with a chance of the wish failing and the Sim becoming, of course, a zombie, but at least it's free of charge. Zombie skin is not an overlay as for many occults in later expansions, it's a separate skin tone that you can choose for your Sim in Create a Sim debugging mode. But zombies made through resurrection don't actually have this skin written in their DNA. That doesn't matter though, as zombies are sterile and can't have children, either male or female. The only way a zombie can give birth without hacks is if they died while pregnant, as the pregnancy will be continued in a zombie body after resurrected, but of course the baby will be human. I made a video about that last October. If you hack the game a little and make a zombie-skinned human sim a baby, they will have skin 1, or at least look like it, but in this case it means no visible skin genetics, as a baby, toddler, and child. When they become a teenager, the zombie skin will magically appear. This really reminds me of the unnatural hair system in The Sims 4, right? Zombies don't age. The only way for them to grow up is if they're zombie teens. I mean, their age bar doesn't progress, but they can go to college and become young adults and then adult zombies. There's even the undead educational scholarship for them that applies to vampires as well. Zombies also have a different need decay. Especially hygiene goes down a lot faster since they are, decomposing, so they often stink. Oh, and servos can be zombies too, but they don't have the hygiene bar, so whatever. How can a servo die, you may ask? It's a robot. By satellite, but they can also be eaten by a cow plant. In both cases, you have to direct them to do it, but with the cow plant, it's more certain that they will die doing this interaction. Since servos are never hungry, they won't try to take the cake themselves. It can't happen by accident. Servos also appear as ghosts, like any other sim, because essentially they are just sims with a robotic overlay. I really hate anything zombie related in general, but in The Sims 2 I must say I find them pretty funny. They don't bother other sims aside of just being stinky, and they make very funny sounds. Once a zombie, always a zombie. There's no way in the vanilla game to cure zombieism and change the sim back to human. No spells, no cheats. Killing a zombie and resurrecting them again won't do the trick either. You'd have to use third-party tools, from which I most recommend the Sim Transformer mod, as it's the easiest to use. Pets can technically be zombies, as the notification will imply zombification if you give little money, but they aren't changed in any way. They keep their personality and learn commands. It's a normal resurrection. If you resurrect a child, the Grim Reaper will say he loves kids and will give you the perfect resurrection regardless of money. You just have to be above the lowest threshold for even getting to resurrect the sim. And again, nerdy knowledge sims will often want to turn dead sims into zombies, or to become one. Interesting desires. And it's not a secret that I am not a fan of occults, but maybe next year I'll make a video about vampires and werewolves. But for now, I hope you learned at least one thing from this video. Happy Halloween or whatever you're celebrating, just have a happy life. And as always, thank you very much for watching, have a good video, and see you in the next one. Bye!